Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to take a very brief look at Unspeakable Words, a Lovecraftian card game for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, with the average play time being about 30 minutes. The object of this game is for players to reach 100 points first by forming words. However, there's a catch. The more points that a particular word is worth, the more likely it is that the player playing the word will go insane. Let's just take a quick moment to look at the components and see how the game is played. As far as the components go, there is a deck of cards, and that deck of cards consists of a number of these letter cards, all of the letters of the alphabet, a number of A's, a number of B's, a number of C's, and so on and so forth. There's also this wild, unspeakable letter card in the deck that can be used for any letter, and each letter card has the letter written on it, as well as a number shaded right behind it. If you look in the upper left or upper right-hand corner, or on any of the corners for that matter, you'll see a little number shaded right behind that letter. That is the number of right angles that the letter consists of, and that actually determines how many points that this particular letter is. So when a player forms a word, they'll add up these numbers to determine how much the word actually scores. You've also got a number of these Cthulhu figurines. Each player will receive so many at the beginning of the game, and these will serve as sort of like a sanity tracker of sorts. When the player runs out of Cthulhu figurines, they have officially gone insane. You've also got this 20-sided die, which is used for an insanity check. As far as setting up the game goes, the deck of cards is shuffled, and each player receives 7 cards to form their starting hand. Each player also receives 5 of those little Cthulhu pawns. Now, as far as the starting player is concerned, each player will roll the die one time, and whoever has the highest value will get to go first. On a player's turn, they'll take a look at the cards in their hand to see if they can form a word. If they can't, they can discard all 7 cards into the discard pile in order to draw 7 more, but that would end their turn. Now, if a player can form a word, what they'll do is they'll go ahead and lay those cards out onto the table. Let's say that this player wanted to spell name. You can't use proper nouns in this game. It has to be something in the English dictionary that isn't a proper noun or a contraction, different things like that. The manual does specify what is allowed and what isn't allowed. At any rate, what you'll do is you'll count up the number of points that each letter is worth. In this case, you've got 2, 5, 3, and 4. So 7, 10, 14. Now that is worth 14 points. At this point, on a separate piece of paper, which the game does not include, you'll want to write down the word that is used and the number of points that that word has scored. This word cannot be used for the rest of the game. Now, what you'll do at this point to see if you pass the sanity check, you'll roll this 20-sided die. If the roll is higher or equal to the score listed here, you're fine. If you roll lower than the score here, you'll have to give up one of your Cthulhu pawns. If a player runs out of Cthulhu pawns, they are eliminated from the game. Once the player has completed their sanity check, whether they completed it or failed it, if they're still in the game, they'll go ahead and discard the cards that they used to spell the word, and then draw back up to their hand of 7 cards. Now, there are a few special rules that players will want to keep in the back of their mind while they're playing. For one, if they happen to roll a 20 during their sanity check, they automatically pass the sanity check no matter what the value of the word is. Another thing that players will need to know is that if they play a word that would bring them to 100 points or higher, they must pass the sanity check in order to win the game. If they don't, they score 0 points for that round. One final thing to note, if you are down to 1 Cthulhu pawn, you do not have to conform with words in the English dictionary. In fact, it can be complete gibberish. You still have to participate in the sanity check, though, so if you fail the sanity check, you're out of the game. Now, players will continue taking turns back and forth until one of 2 things happen. When a player reaches a total score of 100 points or more and manages to pass that last sanity check, they'll win the game. Likewise, if all of the players in the game except for one have gone insane by losing all of their Cthulhu pawns, the remaining player will win by default. And there you have it. That's just a very brief look at the game Unspeakable Words. I didn't get to cover all of the content in the manual, but this should just give you a general idea as far as how the game is played. You can check out my review at www.dadsgamingaddiction.com, or you can click on the link in the below description. That'll take you there as well. This is Vince, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.